Another great show on the docket for today's Philadelphia 76ers now, but before we get started, All-Star voting is open. Now, last year's All-Star game was in Cleveland, this year Indiana. I don't really care to go to the All-Star game this year, but I do want to see Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid there. I've gotten my All-Star votes in. Chip did the same. I want you to do the same. And then once you do that online, I want you to type All-Star down in the comment section. And with that, let's talk some Sixers basketball right now. Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and we're going to start off today's show by getting to the latest on Tobias Harris. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the possibility of him maybe getting dealt in the lead up to the NBA trade deadline, which is coming your way in February. But now, is Tobias Harris going to stay with the Sixers? According to Sixers insider Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Sixers currently don't intend to part ways with Tobias Harris in a contract year. Now, of course, as we know, things are fluid in the NBA. Things can often change very quickly. Daryl Morey can go from saying, we're not changing Ben Simmons, to trading Ben Simmons. We're not trading away James Harden, to trading away James Harden. Things can change in a blink in the NBA, and once Daryl Morey, as we know, gets a deal that he really, really likes, he can move really quickly if that means, in his eyes, he's able to improve the basketball team. Now, here's what Daryl Morey had to say about making a trade. This year is extremely key. Obviously, we can't force any sort of trade that might help the team, but if all else is equal, we would like to do something earlier. If there's something this year, we'll do it this year. The question for the Sixers is they have a couple of draft assets that they could deal. They have a couple of player assets that they could also include in a trade as well. So who do you trade and what do you trade and how are you going to be able to improve this basketball team if you are able to improve this basketball team? With the large expiring contract, I will say this. Trading Tobias Harris makes a lot of sense. He's been bad this year. He's on an expiring deal. And there are a lot of other teams out there who are championship contenders who could use a scorer like Harris. And Philadelphia could upgrade by moving off of him and bringing in a player who fits a little bit better alongside Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. What's interesting is that we put this poll question up on the community tab for our YouTube channel. Do the Sixers need to trade Tobias Harris? 78% of the people said yes, and 22% of the people said no. But when you look in the comments section, it is a little bit of a mix. Some people say, yes, Philadelphia needs to trade Tobias Harris. But there are a lot of staunch Tobias Harris supporters across this city. So what do you think? Let's open up the floor once again. Should the Sixers trade Toby? I want you to type T for trade, K for keep. Share your thoughts down below in the comment section. On Monday night, producer Chip and I were live for our Eagles-Seahawks watch party. Awful loss for the Birds. And we didn't really get to see much of that Sixers loss against the Chicago Bulls. We did a little bit of box score hunting, and we were like, what the heck happened? You know, we were doing the show on Monday, and we were talking about the Sixers' six-game winning streak and how they had the best point differential since the 95-96 Bulls, and then they laid a clunker against the Bulls. Sixers win streak ended. Embiid had 40. Maxey added 29. Nobody else did anything, and that includes Tobias Harris. I'm going to allow you to mute this video in case you have kids watching and do that right now. Let me ask this question. What the fuck is this? 3 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, and Tobias Harris took 3 shots against the Chicago Bulls. I want to know how this is possible for a player who has this role in this offense, who can score the basketball to the level that we've seen Tobias Harris scored the basketball. How can you take 3 shots in a game that wasn't a blowout, that was pretty close, where Kobe White was cooking you? How does nobody else step up? And Toby, you want to look yourself in the mirror and say that you're the third option on this Sixers team? What the heck happened? And this is our greatest worry when it comes down to the NBA playoffs. That Tobias Harris, like he did against Chicago, is going to shrivel up like a dried cranberry. It just cannot happen, and he has to be better. And he has to take more than 3 shots. You put me on the floor, I'm going to have a better outing because I at least have good range where I can knock down a trifecta from 40 feet right in your eye hole. Tobias Harris, you just got to be better. I mean, that is just unserious right there. Some Sixers fans are defending him as well, saying he played good defense. He had 3 blocks. Tobias Harris is an offensive player. Tobias Harris is not a defensive player. Tobias Harris can never have 3 shots in a game. We're not talking about 3 makes, okay? We are talking about 3 shots in a game. This is the inconsistency that we talk about where he just shrivels up into a hole and he looks scared of the moment. I asked our Chicago Bulls host, Patrick Seatman, about Tobias Harris. He said, it didn't even feel like he played. He's making almost $40 million. He's in a contract year. He's trying to prove to other teams that he deserves a new deal, and he's taken 3 shots against the Chicago Bulls. Nick Nurse said, you got to be able to shoot the ball to play on this team because of Joel Embiid. That's kind of a shot across the forehead of Tobias Harris. This year, his 3-point numbers are not good at all. 34.6%. That is his lowest mark since 2015-2016. So I want Daryl Morey to listen up here. Daryl Morey, I'm talking to you. You've said repeatedly that you can't take this year for granted, that this year is a big one for Philadelphia. Well, for this team to win an NBA championship, you cannot have Tobias Harris as your third option. Joel Embiid is playing the best basketball of his career on the heels of an MVP award last year where he might run it back. The leap that we needed Tyrese Maxey to take, he's taken it. And he's playing at an all-NBA, all-star caliber level. And we're going to have to witness potentially Tobias Harris being the anchor that holds this team in the playoffs back once again. And he's taken 3 shots against the Chicago Bulls. It can't happen. And for this team to be a serious NBA championship contender, Daryl Morey, you got to trade Tobias Harris away. Now, if a trade does happen, we're going to cover it. We're going to go live right here on 76ers Now, so make sure you lock us in and hit that sub button for year-round coverage of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sixers. Coming up next, a new team shows interest in Tobias Harris. Who is it? Stay tuned for that. We're getting to that here just around the corner. But first, we got to get the Factor and pay our bills here. Factor is a tremendous sponsor of 76ers Now, and you can get 50% off when you use the code NBAChat50 during this holiday season. You might be looking for nutritious, flavorful meals to fuel you up on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, and you'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle, all while tackling your holiday to-dos. You can cross meal prepping off your list this holiday season with Factor. Skip the meal planning, skip the grocery shopping, the chopping, prepping, and cleaning, and get Factor's fresh, never frozen meals delivered straight to your door. They're ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat them up and enjoy them. factormeals.com/NBAChat50, 50% off. Get started today. As for a team interested in Tobias Harris, it is the worst team in the NBA, and it's a team that actually makes the process Sixers look like a playoff team. It's the Detroit Pistons, who Tobias Harris used to play for a few years ago. Let's look at this tweet here. The Detroit Pistons, currently on a 22-game losing streak, are expected to be active in the trade market. They might consider targeting Tobias Harris. See, that's a team that I would like Harris to go to, and I think that's a team that he fits well with. Doesn't have to worry about the pressure of the NBA playoffs. He's always kind of been a really good stats, bad team type of player, and they're probably looking for a veteran leader, and that's what Tobias Harris is. If you're going to say that you don't like him as a basketball player, what you can say, he is mature, he has character, he has good leadership qualities, he carries himself in the right way, he works hard, and he's really available. That's the type of player that Detroit is kind of looking for. Of note with Detroit, Bojan Bogdanovic has been a popular trade target thrown out there in some of these trade conversations. Reports indicate that they might want OG Anunoby this offseason. A trade idea that we came up with, you got to find a way to match the salary of Tobias Harris. So this is one of them where the Sixers could get Bojan Bogdanovic, who just came back and made his debut a couple of weeks ago, as well as Joe Harris. Joe Harris's contract is awful. Bojan's isn't terrible. These are two shooters who maybe fit your team a little bit better and can actually shoot willingly and at a higher percentage than Tobias Harris. For Detroit, they're able to take on an expiring deal. They free up money to sign OG Anunoby to a big contract. For Philadelphia, you land an elite shooter in Bogdanovic, who is probably a much better fit alongside Joel Embiid as compared to Tobias Harris right now because, he's better suited as a number 2. But you're not going to win a championship with him being the number 2. What I mean by that, he needs the ball in his hands a little bit more to feel a little bit more comfortable, to get in a groove. And now the Sixers thought that he could be a very good number 3. But as we've seen, he's not comfortable with being that guy who can play off ball because he's really not a catch-and-shoot, spot-up shooter. Bogdanovic in 2023, he's been putting up some pretty damn good numbers here. And this is him coming off of injury. He's averaging 21.1 points per game. He's not going to do a lot outside of scoring and shooting, but this is what you're bringing him in to do. That's to put the biscuit in the basket, drain some shots from outside. 49.5% from the field, 42.4% from three-point range. As noted, his defense is not great. But the Sixers do have some pretty solid defensive wings for a change, and the offense is probably worth it. So let's show you this trade idea. Sixers get Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Harris, who at one moment was good, now seems to be a cooked product. Pistons receive Tobias Harris. Would you do it? A for accept, D for decline. Let us know in the chat. I get it's not flashy star players and bringing in a Bogdanovic. I'm not even sure Harris would even see the floor. Might even be a buyout candidate, or you flip him to another team. But that's not what this team needs. You don't need a Zach LaVine. You don't need another star player. Bogdanovic can be somewhat of a reliable option who's a little bit battle-tested. He's played in big games internationally. He's played in big games in the NBA, and he could provide valuable spacing for Embiid, but also when you have spacing, it opens up some driving lanes for Tyrese Maxey as well. If you enjoyed today's show, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. It's a real one roll call right here on 76ers Now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.